It all begins on a day like any other in the world of Dragon Ball. The sun shone brightly as Goku bid farewell to his friends and family, firmly determined to seek his next challenge to become stronger. After being defeated by Black Freezer and witnessing the strength of Gohan in his beast form, he decided to enter the Hyperbolic Time Chamber to push his limits, feeling he was falling behind compared to the others. In fact, he already had some ideas in mind about movements and attack sequences he could practice during his training. Without further delay, Goku flew quickly to the Sacred Temple, arriving swiftly thanks to his incredible speed. Once there, he approached the door of the Time Chamber, more than ready to begin. "Alright, here I go," he muttered, his confident smile lighting up his face. After saying this, Goku finally entered the Time Chamber and closed the door to commence his rigorous training. "I have to get serious if I want to surpass my strength. I'm sure I can reach a new power level like Gohan too." A few moments after saying this, Goku took his fighting stance and yelled with all his might, charging his ki to the maximum as his muscles tensed and his hair started to glow a silvery hue. In this way, he accessed his perfected Ultra Instinct form with a power so immense it seemed to distort the air itself, similar to when Majin Buu opened that portal after getting enraged. But as if that wasn't enough, Goku began releasing even more energy to use that giant energy form technique he'd used against Moro, and he wanted to master it. However, just as his transformation reached its peak, something in the chamber seemed to react strangely. Suddenly, a mechanical sound echoed in the space, as if something were breaking. Goku paused, noticing this, and reverted to his base form, feeling confused about what was happening. "What's all this?" Goku asked as he looked around. The time chamber seemed to be shaking, as if something internal was malfunctioning. Cracks appeared in the white walls and ceiling, which seemed to absorb everything around them. These cracks were no ordinary ones. They not only led to another place, but seemed to connect to other worlds. Finding this dangerous, Goku began searching for a way to stop it all, and started using his powers to destroy the cracks. Meanwhile, in his own world, Saitama was calmly in his apartment, about to go out in his hero suit when suddenly, one of the cracks appeared in front of him. "What's that?" he asked before being interrupted. The crack's powerful pull didn't give him time to react, and he was sucked in, sending him directly to the time chamber where Goku was. Back in the time chamber, Goku had closed nearly all the cracks except one, which started emitting a strong light in front of him, signaling that something was about to emerge. "What the heck is that thing?" he asked, surprised, taking a few steps back. Soon after, the crack stopped glowing, revealing the figure of a bald man in a yellow suit with a white cape. After bringing him in, the crack seemed to stabilize, freezing as a sort of portal. Besides this, the time chamber appeared to have sustained serious damage, with time moving much faster now, though it didn't affect the age of Goku and Saitama. This caused the portal Saitama came through to malfunction, trapping him there until the time chamber returned to normal. Saitama stood there, confused and incredulous at what had happened, taking a few steps forward and shaking his head. "Where am I?" he murmured, looking around in bewilderment. Goku was still processing what was happening, as he didn't know what kind of person had emerged from the crack, and the way he appeared was quite strange. Nevertheless, Goku cautiously approached Saitama, wanting to learn more about him. "Hi, my name is Goku. Who are you?" he said, waving so that the bald guy wouldn't think he was an enemy. Saitama simply looked at him, expressionless with his usual bored eyes. Hi, I'm Saitama. Although, honestly, I don't know what I'm doing here," he replied, glancing around, trying to understand his surroundings. "I was just at home a moment ago, and suddenly, poof, now I'm here, stuck in this weird room." Seeing Saitama's attitude, Goku relaxed and gave a slight smile. "You're actually in the Hyperbolic Time Chamber, a place where you can train for years while only a day passes outside. I was training here, but honestly, I might have gotten too excited and accidentally caused this mess." Upon hearing the explanation, Saitama sighed in resignation. "So I'm trapped here?" he asked, a touch of frustration in his voice. "I think so, but only for now at least, since the exit seems to be blocked since you showed up," Goku said, scratching his head as it was partly his fault. Saitama crossed his arms, looking at Goku calmly. I see. And exactly why do you spend so much time training here? Well, because I want to get stronger. There's always someone out there with more power, and I want to be ready to face them, Goku answered, filled with enthusiasm. Saitama raised an eyebrow at Goku's response, as he had long lost that excitement for becoming stronger. So, stronger. It's been a while since I trained because I'm already strong enough, at least where I come from. Saitama spoke with his usual monotone, almost bored voice. The fights I have daily, I win with a single punch. And believe me, that gets boring after a while. That's why your enthusiasm surprises me. A single punch? That sounds incredible. But wouldn't you want to see just how far you could go if you trained even harder? Asked Goku, genuinely curious. For what? I have no more challenges left, he replied with a brief, sarcastic laugh. Goku seemed taken aback by Saitama's response, stepping back slightly to process what he had said. Unlike Saitama, training and constant self-improvement were nearly everything to Goku, so it was hard for him to imagine Saitama's mindset. So, what do you do if you don't train? He asked with a hint of incredulity. Nothing special. I get up, do my daily chores, fight if anyone crosses my path, and then I go back home. That's all. Saitama shrugged in response. After that last answer, an awkward silence filled the room. Goku realized he was facing someone with a completely different outlook, yet he remained intrigued by Saitama's strength. Well, since we're stuck here, would you like to spar with me? Maybe I could be a new challenge for you, he suggested, flashing a challenging smile. Saitama looked at him for a moment upon hearing the proposal, considering it. A spar? I don't usually fight for fun, but I guess I've got nothing better to do now that I'm here. Upon hearing Saitama accept his offer, Goku's excitement grew even more. He stepped back and assumed a fighting stance. Meanwhile, Saitama just stood there, as he wasn't accustomed to using complex moves. Let's see what you can do, Saitama, he shouted, charging forward with a powerful, impressive punch to start things off. Saitama had planned to block the attack with one hand, but suddenly he felt the overwhelming force of it and quickly opted to dodge instead. In doing so, he narrowly avoided the strike, though he was taken aback, as he hadn't had to actively avoid an attack in a long time. I don't remember the last time I had to dodge someone's attack on purpose. That was unexpected, he remarked, trying to process what had just happened. Even so, I'm surprised you managed to react. A normal person wouldn't have been able to do it. You're strong. Saitama continued to watch Goku in surprise, as for the first time in a long while, he felt he might actually have an interesting fight. For some reason, I feel like fighting you will be different than my other battles, so maybe it's worth going all out. Goku was a little surprised by Saitama's response, having thought he had no desire to fight, but he was thrilled at the idea of a serious battle with him. Alright then, this is about to get serious! Go ahead, make sure to hit with full strength. With that, Goku intensified his power, channeling more energy into each attack. Meanwhile, Saitama tried to take a defensive stance, as he didn't have the same martial arts skills as Goku. In an instant, Goku launched himself towards Saitama again, using more strength than before. He began throwing multiple direct punches, which Saitama dodged since he was now fighting more intensely than usual. Amid the flurry of attacks, Saitama saw an opportunity to counter, so he quickly attempted to strike Goku with one of his powerful punches. But suddenly, Goku teleported behind him, successfully dodging the attack while maintaining his characteristic smile of excitement. Saitama was taken aback, unable to perceive Goku's movement when he struck. Because of this, Saitama got more serious and swiftly turned, this time attacking with greater speed and strength to ensure his hit. Goku was caught off guard by Saitama's sudden boost in power, taking a direct hit to his abdomen. Saitama thought he had finally managed to hurt Goku, but as he tried to step back, he realized his fist was being held. Despite landing the blow, Goku had partially blocked it. And if that wasn't enough, Goku's hair began to glow, as he was transforming into his Super Saiyan form, necessary to hold back Saitama's attack. Noticing this, Saitama watched Goku's transformation with curiosity, as he hadn't expected him to have such an ability. Is that some kind of trick? Not exactly. It's just a transformation. It makes me much stronger. Goku replied with a smile, then tightened his grip on Saitama's fist and delivered a powerful punch to his face, sending him flying back with the impact. Although Saitama wasn't hurt much, he certainly felt the impact, which left him surprised and with a glimmer of excitement, a feeling he hadn't had in a long time. So he simply wiped his face and smirked. "I think I was right. Fighting you is worth it," he said, preparing himself for the next round and continuing the fight. Meanwhile, Goku resumed his fighting stance, thrilled about this battle. "This is only the beginning, so don't hold back. Show me your true strength, Saitama!" After the first encounter between Goku and Saitama, the two were about to continue their fight. "Alright, Saitama, show me all your strength!" Goku said this while still in Super Saiyan form, waiting for Saitama's next move. "This time, I feel like I have more freedom to fight, so rest assured, I will." After saying that, Saitama's gaze became more serious as he planned to increase the intensity of his attacks. In just an instant, he positioned himself in front of Goku with his incredible speed and began throwing multiple consecutive punches. His speed was quite surprising to Goku, who was dodging Saitama's punches without rest. Saitama's normally carefree eyes now held an unusual intensity as this battle was slowly awakening his fighting spirit. In the middle of the flurry of punches, Saitama, with almost imperceptible movement, positioned himself right in front of Goku. Before the Saiyan could react, Saitama delivered a powerful punch to Goku's face, returning the blow Goku had given him earlier. Goku felt the impact, but it only made him smile with excitement for the fight. "You're fast! I didn't expect you to move like that!" "Let's just say I'm getting a little used to it. After all, you're more experienced in combat techniques." "True, but let's not stop now. This is getting interesting!" Goku said as he teleported in front of Saitama again to attack him once more. Saitama reacted quickly, but since he couldn't avoid the attack, he decided to counteract with a punch of his own, resulting in a clash of their fists. A powerful shockwave burst out when their fists collided, but that was only the beginning, as after that they started exchanging multiple blows at great speed. The impacts resonated throughout the Hyperbolic Time Chamber, tearing apart the environment around them, showing that they were both enjoying the fight. As the minutes passed, the two fighters kept appearing and disappearing around the battlefield, exchanging blows on the ground and in the air. One of those impacts was so strong that it forced them apart, creating some distance between them. "Are you having fun, Goku? Because I'm starting to feel excited too." "This is exactly what I was hoping for. Very few people can push me to this level." After saying that, both decided to increase the intensity of their attacks even more, launching themselves at each other with incredible speed. Their attacks became so powerful that they struck each other in the face simultaneously, making both feel the pain of the impact. This made it clear to Goku that his Super Saiyan form wouldn't be enough for this fight, so he'd have to power up further. With that in mind, Goku quickly used an energy blast with his other arm, causing it to explode against Saitama. The attack caught Saitama by surprise, and he was pushed back by the blast of energy. As the smoke began to clear, Goku looked at Saitama with his signature smile, knowing the fight was only getting better. "You're much stronger than I imagined. I think I'll have to take this to the next level," Goku said, wiping a scratch from his face from the hit he had just taken. "I hope you can keep up with me too." After those words, Goku let out a loud yell and began raising his energy even higher, planning to transform once again to continue the fight. Due to Goku's increasing energy, the entire place began to shake aggressively, with several energy bolts surrounding him. Saitama watched in surprise at Goku's transformation, as he had never seen such a level of power before. Suddenly, there was a huge burst of energy in the area as Goku accessed his Super Saiyan 3 form, which looked quite imposing. Goku's energy radiated through his body with an intense glow, surrounding him with an aura filled with lightning that illuminated the entire battlefield. "Alright, let's continue where we left off." Saitama was amazed at how cool Goku looked, though it reminded him a bit of the final transformation Boros had shown during their battle. "Wow, so you have even more power hidden away. That's perfect. Looks like I'll have to try even harder." Saitama said with a somewhat nervous expression, as Goku's power this time was overwhelmingly intense. But despite that, Saitama launched himself at Goku again, preparing one of his punches to attack, as this time he was ready to take on Goku's blows with much greater speed and strength. However, Goku stood completely still in front of Saitama, and in just the blink of an eye, he was already right in front of him. Instantly, Goku delivered a tremendous kick to Saitama's stomach, sending him flying upwards. The blow was so powerful that Saitama spat out, leaving him unable to react to the next move. But Goku didn't stand idly by. As Saitama was launched into the air, Goku quickly flew after him, landing another punch to his face, sending him flying yet again. These blows were disorienting Saitama, so he quickly tried to brace for the next attack, knowing he was more vulnerable in the air since he couldn't fly. This time, however, Goku didn't continue his assault of punches. Instead, he positioned himself even higher up, charging a powerful energy attack, the Kamehameha. Saitama looked up quickly, catching sight of the radiance of Goku's energy, astonished by his technique. But by the time he realized what was happening, it was too late. Goku's attack was ready to be unleashed. Here it comes! Goku's Kamehameha was unleashed at Saitama with tremendous force, making it almost impossible for him to avoid. Saitama was aware of this, so he had to figure out how to withstand all that energy. As the energy attack was about to hit him, Saitama put both hands up to block it, using all his strength to hold it back. But the energy was too powerful, pushing him back down toward the ground. However, the attack hadn't completely overwhelmed Saitama just yet. As he kept trying to stop it with his hands while bracing himself on the ground with his legs, Goku was impressed by this but had no intention of holding back, as he wanted to see the limits of Saitama. On the other hand, Saitama was feeling the full weight of Goku's powerful energy wave on his hands. Every inch of his body was straining, struggling to contain the overwhelming force of Goku's Kamehameha. His usually uninterested gaze now showed an effort he hadn't displayed in a long time, as everything had been easy for him until now. His face was covered in sweat, reflecting the intensity of his struggle. This guy, he's really strong. Never met someone like this. As Saitama was deep in thought, Goku intensified the energy of his attack, causing the wave to grow in size and power, pressing Saitama harder and harder against the ground. Rocks around him disintegrated, and the ground started to crack beneath his feet. "Don't hold back, Saitama! I want to see what you're made of!" Saitama barely heard his words due to the deafening roar of the Kamehameha he was holding back, yet a spark of determination ignited within him. He closed his eyes for a second, and with a shout that echoed across the battlefield, he used all his strength to try and push Goku's energy up. Saitama began throwing multiple punches with tremendous force and speed to drive the energy away from him. There were too many blows to even count, but somehow it was working as he gradually managed to deflect the energy. In a burst of adrenaline, Saitama focused solely on delivering more and more punches, ultimately diverting it skyward. The resulting explosion lit up the sky, and a shockwave spread for miles. Goku was amazed by Saitama's feat, as he hadn't expected him to pull something like that off. But on the other hand, he was thrilled to see Saitama pushing his limits. Nevertheless, Saitama was utterly exhausted, with parts of his suit and cape somewhat tattered. As the smoke cleared, Goku descended to the ground, admiring Saitama's achievement as he breathed heavily but showed no signs of giving up. Impressive! Not many can withstand an attack on that level. Well, I just did what I had to do to avoid getting roasted. Saitama replied with a hint of humor as he regained his composure. Goku simply smiled at his comment before returning to his base form. You know, it's rare for someone to make me put in this much effort. Do you want to take a little break before we continue? As Goku asked him that, Saitama looked at his partially damaged suit as if realizing the scale of their battle, and then decided to respond. A break, huh? Doesn't sound bad, since, to be honest, fighting seriously is kind of unusual for me. Goku let out a genuine laugh and nodded, then sat down on the floor of the Hyperbolic Time Chamber. Meanwhile, Saitama also decided to sit down, trying to relax a bit after the intense fight. Both of them observed the landscape around them, marked by the destruction from their battle, noting the cracked ground and smoldering debris. Despite the chaos, there was a subtle air of camaraderie between the two. It's good to take a breather now and then. It lets you come back refreshed and stronger. Saitama nodded, though he seemed slightly uncomfortable, not used to reflecting on his fights, as they were just part of his routine. So far, fighting has just been a way to pass the time with my hero work, but it hasn't meant much in a long time. Really? So what drives you to keep doing it? Saitama paused, looking up at the sky, remembering his days as an ordinary man searching for purpose in a world that often seemed monotonous. Honestly, I thought being a hero would be different, more challenging, but after a while all the villains started to feel the same. There wasn't anyone who could really push me to my limits, until today. I get it. That same drive to find someone who can challenge me is what makes me train so hard and always seek out stronger rivals. That's why I think maybe we could train together. If you're interested, you might learn a thing or two. Saitama raised his eyebrow, surprised at the offer, as he'd never considered training with anyone due to being so powerful that he didn't need it. You think that stuff could actually make me stronger? Of course! There are techniques that go beyond physical strength, each making you stronger in a different way. Saitama felt genuine curiosity about what Goku had said, realizing that if there was a chance to push himself and keep fighting against him, it was worth trying. Alright, I guess I can give it a shot, so let's do it. After their first battle, Saitama had decided to train alongside Goku to improve his skills and prepare to face him in their next fight. For that reason, Goku thought it would be best to teach him how to control Ki first. Since Saitama couldn't fly, he was at a considerable disadvantage when fighting in the air, not to mention he couldn't track all of Goku's movements. Without further delay, Goku stood in front of Saitama and brought his hands together to create an energy sphere, showing him an example of how Ki worked. Saitama stared at the energy sphere with curiosity, trying to understand how to do it himself. Watch closely, Saitama. Ki is the foundation of every technique. It allows us to shape it to our will, creating abilities and boosting our basic strength. Sounds impressive, but a bit complicated. Are you sure I'll be able to do something like that? Of course! Every living being has this energy, it's just a matter of learning how to control it. Goku spoke in a friendly tone as he looked at Saitama. Alright, how about you give it a try too? Just put your hands together like I did and focus your energy in that spot. Following Goku's instructions, Saitama looked at his hands and tried to gather his energy. He closed his eyes, took a deep breath, and tried to visualize the energy Goku had mentioned, aiming to concentrate it in one spot, the center of his hands. Saitama was so focused on gathering his inner power that he remained silent, filling the area with a heavy calm. Energy. Well, I'm not sure if I'm doing this right, but at least I'm trying. Don't lose your concentration! Let your energy flow through your body! Goku noticed that Saitama was pushing himself too hard to manifest his energy, which wasn't ideal for his progress. As minutes passed, Saitama started to get a bit frustrated, seeing no results. But even with that frustration, Saitama calmed himself, determined to not lose his patience, and continue trying for a while longer. After all, they had the Hyperbolic Time Chamber on their side, making both of their progress much faster. Though nothing seemed to happen for a while, after several attempts, something finally began to appear in Saitama's hands. A faint, barely visible glow that started to take shape in his palms, though it was shaky and unstable. Goku watched proudly as Saitama had finally managed to take the first step in his training. There you go! You've already managed to manifest your energy in a short time! Now you just need practice. Try to ignore everything else and focus on that spot to give your energy more strength. Saitama was surprised but pleased to see his progress. He could feel a faint tingling in his hands, a new sensation but difficult to maintain. But just as he blinked, the glow from his energy slowly faded. This is harder than it looks. I don't understand how you can keep it steady. I managed it for a few seconds, but it just slips away. And don't worry, that's normal. The first time I tried making a Ki ball, I had some trouble too. The trick is in controlling your mind, avoiding any distractions that pull you out of that concentrated state. That's why you shouldn't lose patience like you did a minute ago. Control my mind. It sounds like you're asking me to stop thinking. Well, in a way, yes. Only by doing that can you shape it in your mind. Now, give it another try. After this brief explanation, Saitama tried again, closing his eyes and diving into a state of calm to focus. He started visualizing the sphere in his hands, imagine it forming naturally as if it were an extension of himself. This time the glow reappeared and he managed to hold it without letting it disappear. Though still unstable, he had made some progress. I don't think it's much, but at least it's something, right? Absolutely! You're starting to understand it, Saitama! With a little more practice, you'll be able to concentrate ki and form a complete sphere. It's just a matter of perseverance. Goku spoke with excitement, seeing Saitama learning faster than expected. From that moment on, they spent much of their time perfecting Saitama's energy control, translating to several years within the Hyperbolic Time Chamber. As they progressed through training, Saitama improved gradually and soon began to sense that energy flow Goku had mentioned, making him even stronger than before. As the days went by in the Hyperbolic Time Chamber, Saitama became accustomed to feeling the energy within him, a power he had previously overlooked. His training was intense, both physically and mentally, and each day Saitama improved a little bit more, discovering that the energy he generated wasn't just a tool for attack, but a force that could be quite versatile. During one of these training days, Goku approached Saitama with a confident smile. "I think you're ready to try it, Saitama. You've learned to manage your energy faster than I expected. So, why not try flying now?" "Sounds good to me. I think I can pull it off this time." After saying that, Saitama closed his eyes, focusing on his energy to start floating. He focused his mind entirely on that energy, imagining it surrounding and enveloping him like a cloak. Gradually, the air around him began to vibrate, and suddenly his body started to lift slowly. Saitama opened his eyes, realizing that he had finally managed to fly on his own. Flying? Goku nodded, sharing his companion's excitement. "Exactly, Saitama! Now you just need to keep controlling that flow to fly with more power." Saitama concentrated even more and managed to stabilize himself in the air. He then attempted to propel himself forward, and to his surprise, he succeeded with great force and speed, looking pretty cool with his cape billowing. Goku's hair fluttered from the rush of air Saitama created as he moved, which only added to Goku's thrill. "Incredible! Your energy unleashed with more force than I expected." "I didn't think flying would be this exciting, and honestly, I think this style suits me with my cape." Saitama flew around the Hyperbolic Time Chamber with enthusiasm. Now that Saitama could fly effortlessly and handle his energy more freely, he was ready to put his new skills to the test once more. With that, he descended and stood in front of Goku, demanding a new fight. "Alright, how about we see how much I've improved?" Goku only smiled in anticipation, eager to see Saitama's progress in a real fight. "Sounds good to me! In fact, I was about to ask you the same thing!" After saying that, Goku powered up again, enveloping himself in that immense aura with bolts of energy to transform into Super Saiyan 3. "Very well, Saitama. This time I won't hold back. You've earned the right to face me seriously. I want to see just how far you can go now that you have full control over your energy." Saitama observed him in awe, still amazed by Goku's power and appearance in this form, but he wasn't planning to back down after all this training. For Saitama, this was still a new feeling, but he was thrilled to feel that excitement to fight again. "Then let's do this, Goku. Don't disappoint me." A moment later, both rushed at each other with a speed that made the entire chamber tremble. The impact of their initial blows echoed like thunder, and the ground cracked beneath their feet. Although Saitama was used to Goku's powerful attacks, he was still surprised by the pressure of Goku's punches. This was clearly a real challenge, and for the first time, he felt adrenaline coursing through his veins. Now that both could fly, they didn't stop charging at each other in the air, further destroying the surroundings in the time chamber. Suddenly, Goku propelled himself forward, cutting through the air with blinding speed as his fist aimed directly for Saitama's face. But the bald hero dodged the punch by tilting his head just a few inches, thanks to his improved perception of Goku's attacks. This surprised Goku, but his expression quickly turned to excitement, and without missing a beat, he unleashed a flurry of rapid punches. Each of his fists created a tremendous energy wave that pushed Saitama back. Saitama blocked each one of those punches, only to break through Goku's guard and land a punch to his face. This startled Goku, as he hadn't expected Saitama to match his speed so well after training. "Well done, Saitama! But get ready for what's next!" Without giving him time to respond, Goku rose higher and began bombarding him with multiple energy blasts, each exploding on impact with Saitama. This overwhelmed Saitama again as he searched for a way to counterattack. Now that he could better control his power, Saitama quickly decided to coat his fist with energy, deflecting the ki blast and making them explode away from him. Although Goku noticed this, he didn't let up and continued his relentless assault on Saitama. The sky of the time chamber filled with constant explosions. It was clear this battle would only escalate further on both sides. In an instant, Saitama decided to return some of the energy blast, causing them to explode back at Goku. Goku quickly shielded himself from the returning blast, managing to protect himself from the damage. But he realized too late that it was a distraction, as Saitama had positioned himself above him. Saitama had both arms raised, ready to deliver a powerful double-handed blow. Before Goku could react, he took the full impact of Saitama's strike, sending him crashing to the ground. Saitama was breathing heavily, but he was glad he could keep up with the pace of the fight. Meanwhile, Goku began to rise again, dusting himself off from the powerful impact. "Incredible, Saitama! You've improved so much that I can't hold back anymore!" Goku said, brushing the dust off his uniform. "Honestly, it's thanks to you that I can do all of this. For the first time in a long time, I have to think about every punch I throw. It makes it more exciting and makes me push myself." "Then you'd better keep it up, because we still got a lot to show each other." After saying that, Goku suddenly increased his aura, scattering all the dust in an instant. But this time, his aura wasn't as fierce as his Super Saiyan 3 form. Instead, it seemed calmer. Saitama watched as Goku's energy changed once more, turning into a red light that enveloped him in a divine aura. "What is that?" he asked in awe, as unlike before, he could no longer sense Goku's energy. Then, in a sudden transformation, Goku shifted into the red form of Super Saiyan God, which had a much less aggressive appearance than the previous form, but still radiated immense power. "Up until now, we've been fighting with ordinary powers. But take a look at this, Saitama. This is Super Saiyan God." Without waiting any longer, Goku took his fighting stance and advanced with nearly impossible speed. Saitama barely had any time to react before feeling a punch to his abdomen that sent him flying backward with a force he had never experienced before. Still, Saitama decided to gather energy in his fist and attempted to strike back, taking advantage of Goku's proximity. But it was in vain, as Goku easily caught his punch. "Why can't I sense your energy?" Saitama asked, still feeling the pain from the recent blow. "Because this isn't like regular ki, this is divine ki," Goku replied before sending Saitama flying with another surge of energy. Though slightly dazed by this, Saitama was fascinated by Goku's divine aura. "Now the real challenge begins, Saitama. Let's see if you can adapt to divine ki," Goku said with a challenging tone. Although Saitama was somewhat exhausted from the fight, he prepared himself for the next round against Goku, eager to face this newfound divine power. "I guess I have no choice but to try."